Hi everyone, thank you for joining. So as Dave just mentioned, we are sort of going to run through an overview of how the project works today. And just because we're really pressed for time, if you have questions, we really do want to hear them. So just use the chat so that we can, and then we can address those. And we're going to have 3 question points throughout the session. So, and that's where we'll refer back to the chat. And we have Dave, Shiel and Jay here, who are the Canvas Learning Exchange team. So they will be able to really address those questions with, great knowledge. And Irene's here from the vet team as well, so the vet team manager. So there's a lot of wealth of knowledge here, and I'm sort of just running it from the perspective of, I guess, a teacher and a student today. So you'll firstly experience how the Canvas courses will operate as a student, and you'll get to experience that from a student perspective. And then afterwards, I'll show you how it will work as a teacher and how you will mark, view your marks, respond to your students' work, samples, things like that. So the idea is that today we are starting from sort of the simplest part, the simplest of things that you're going to need to do. So if you're already familiar with Canvas, then this will be a great way to see how the vet team have approached Canvas. And if you're completely new to Canvas, that's great too, because this is really aimed for you guys to be able to get a overview of how it actually will work. And there'll be future training sessions and things going on next year to make sure that everyone's completely comfortable with how this will be rolled out and how it will work. So if you have questions, that's really where the key is. Obviously you guys are the first session as well, so we'll see how we go with timings and things, but at the end of the day, we'll just have to do what we can do, and there will be future training sessions as well. All right, so I will get started. Everyone should have joined or had an invite to join the vet CEDP training course, which looks like this. If you haven't yet joined, on the link on the calendar for today, there is the link directly to it as well. So, and then when you click on it, it will take you to here, and you just need to hit the green button at the top, which says admit to course. So if anyone has any problems, just put your name in the chat and Jay will help you out. So this is what the courses will all look like. This is a training course that's been built to show you guys how it will work, and feel free to go through and act as a student even after the training session today to familiarize yourself with it. So to go through, the first module that I'm going to show you is around the administration tasks the students have to do, which is a great thing to show you because it's consistent across all courses. So it doesn't matter which course you're doing or teaching or as a student learning, you're all going to have that same experience in the first week where you take your students through the administration tasks. And then after that, you'll have that, you'll have your course specific content that you work through. So I'll just head to the first page. So to get to the modules section, I'll just quickly I'll make a bit clearer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a part of the course, and then I'm going to get you to have 5 minutes of doing something in the course. So then you'll sort of experience that, and then we'll come back and have a chat about it. So, and then I can answer any questions. So the first part is going to be just an overview of how it works and how the Canvas course is set out. So on that first page, if you click on modules in Canvas, this is where our course structure is viewed. Okay, so each one of these is a what we call a module, which is broken down into either tasks, activities, pages, which have information on them and so on. So this first one that you can see there is an introduction to the RTO project. So on here, I've embedded a PowerPoint, which is one of the features that you can do in Canvas. And you can see there that there is the overview, which has been taken from the information that was distributed to schools. So why are we using Canvas? Obviously, it's one of the leading LMSs or learning management systems in the world at the moment. And it's, it's a great program and a great way to manage learning. So there's a list of courses there as well. So this PowerPoint sort of goes through why we're doing it. What if I like Google Classroom? Google Classroom does integrate into, Google Drive does integrate into Canvas, but there is a lot of benefits to Canvas, which you'll see today, which Google Classroom unfortunately just doesn't do. I personally, only last year, I had to move from Google Classroom into Canvas through teaching in the School of Now. And so in that instance, at first as well, I felt like, I can't just stay in Google Classroom? And I get that. But there is a lot of things that Canvas actually does a lot better, and it's a lot better system, and especially for VET, there is huge buy-ins for VET for this, mainly because of the way that it hosts student submissions and how easy it is to actually say to students, hey, you didn't meet the benchmark, and can you resubmit it? And you can find just that very specific component. So it's a really big positive from a teacher's perspective in Canvas. So on a course level, this will be your program. The Canvas course will be the program that you teach from. So there's no need to have an external program that you're annotating, because it's quite clear that you're using the course, and we'll be able to have everything is timestamped from when you did it. So student work submissions, we can see when the students did it. So that's another massive positive for the use of Canvas in VET. Compliance. So the analytics within Canvas also gives us huge amount of detail on how the students are learning and how much they're interacting with the course, which is another great positive for Canvas in this environment. And also, I will just reiterate that you are actually getting a course which has your competency task built into it with appropriate learning teaching strategies that you may wish to use. However, let's say we're doing a WHS unit, and Rosalinda says, you know what, I really love my WHS PowerPoint that I've made and I've run, I know it back to front, I've used it for the last 5 years, and you don't want to use the one that the VET teams put in there, you can unpublish that learning content, and you can say, you know what, I think I'll use my one. So you unpublish the CEDP one that we've delivered, and you just pop yours in there, and then you're ready to roll with the same resource that you've always used. So, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but so your quality teaching and learning resources that you've worked hard to make over the last however many years, they don't become obsolete, and we really want to make sure that you guys are happy with the work that you're delivering in your classroom. And this isn't a mandated thing that you're going to have to teach our way, and you know, there's none of that happening. The only thing, like always with VET, even in the past before Canvas, is that obviously the assessment tasks, the competency tasks, they're standard for anyone delivering across the diocese, as they always are. So those parts of your VET course in Canvas are locked, and students will have to work through them in Canvas and submit them in Canvas. All right, so I guess I'll just throw that now to questions. I think we're running pretty good for time. Is there any questions, anything related to Canvas, anything related to how the VET system that you guys feel like I could address now quickly for you?
There's nothing in the chat just yet, Michael, but I've unmuted people in case they just want to talk. It's only a small group.
Yeah, so feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Thanks, Dave. No? Can I just ask quickly, how many of you have actually used Canvas before? Oliver, how about you? Have you used it before?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, cool. That's great to know, because if you feel anything, Oliver, I mean, Rosalinda, if you've used it before, this may be very surface level for you, which is fine.
I've only used it as a student though.
Oh, cool. Actually, I did a uni course, like a certificate course a couple of years ago, and then I started using Canvas, and then I realized, this is a Canvas course as well. So yeah, I've been there myself. So that's great. Actually, the student perspective is really a great way to really know how it works. So, but look, if you have any other things, even if you go away and you find stuff, don't feel like you can't just email us and ask us for a hand either. All right, so the next thing I'll jump into, and feel free, I might even just let you guys unmute, because there's only a couple of you here, so it's fine if you do need to just let us know, feel free to do so. So if we have a look at, I'm going to go back to the modules section, and you'll find that's where you head to a lot. The first part of the course that the students are going to work through is around the administration unit. And I'm sure you're aware that as a VET student, that you have to create a USI. The students have to put their USI into Accelerate. They have to do possibly an LLN. Some people have, some people haven't used an LLN, which is like a literacy, language, and numeracy assessment. So this module has been built to encapsulate all of that stuff that we have to do and to set up the students for the vet course before they move on. And it's been placed into every vet course that the students are going to get. So this module will have lists of all the
Sorry,
submissions.
Michael,
And
can I just ask you a question then? So they need the USI before they can go on? Because I've had issues with my students not being able to find their USI because some information doesn't match and things like that. So it's taken a little while. Does that need to be done before they can do anything else?
No, not at all. They'll still be able to work through the unit, and there is in Canvas, there is the option to do prerequisites. So student must have done the USI to be able to do the next step, to be able to do the next step. And
We eventually get there, it just takes a while sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the students can't do it because their names don't match their nested name, and so we understand all of that. But so yeah, we're not actually using any prerequisites in Canvas, especially for the first year, because it does get a little bit clunky, and it's sort of a higher end function. We don't want to throw you guys in and then have issues. So we've done as much as we can to make this as easy for you guys as we hopefully can. But obviously, if you find something, let us know too. So we're going to jump in and we're going to go into the student view. I'm going to show you a couple of things, and then I'm going to give you some time to go and have a play with it and to submit a USI and to do some things as a made up thing. So I'm just going to run you through how this module works. So all of our modules have this page at the start, all of our chapters, sorry. So our modules, a module would be the same as a module where we program. So we'd have module 1 might be usually WHS and something else maybe. So our modules are then broken into chapters, and each chapter has a learning intention, a success criteria, and a time that we think maybe is going to be what you should be allocating to this. And this will be editable by teachers, because we know that some teachers they have specific things at their schools about how learning intentions need to be set out. They have specific things about success criteria. So we've done what we think. You guys can change that. So that will be every chapter in the unit, in the whole course will be set out that way. For the USI, the students then there's a video there you can watch with your class. There's an introduction to why we use a USI and so on. There's the steps on how to do it. And then there's a little thing to say, go up to the top, and the students hit start assignment. And the students can type in their USI. So I've just made something up, and that's what I want you to do. Don't put your real USI in. This is just a bit of a muck around play session for you guys. So all you need to do is type in a fake number. And you'll see here that there's a decision-making rule. So that's important for when we get into our competency tasks. That is where it will have whether or not a student meets the benchmark for competency or is still needing to do more work. So, and I'll get into that when we look at our competency task example that we do a little bit later, but just be aware that that's there. So the student either creates a USI or doesn't do it. So that's the marking criteria for that section. Okay, so then the student would just submit assignment. And now you can see that up the top, it's changed from submit assignment to new attempt. Okay, now as a teacher, I'll show you what that looks like at the back end in the next section. But that's how that section will work. The next couple of pages don't actually ask for a submission. So these are just information sections for students to be able to go and put in. So the next one is putting the USI into Accelerate. So obviously we all use Accelerate to keep our competency registers up to date, things like that. So we know how much, where the students are, and then it generates their reports and so on. So if we have a look at how Accelerate's working there's an information part on how students can do that process. And we do have a marking criteria here. So the idea would be that, let's say that Oliver's got a fitness class, and in his fitness class, they're putting in a USI, they've done their USI, and now you've said to them, okay, guys, here's the instructions for putting it into Accelerate. That takes like literally 3 minutes. So this isn't a long process. The students go in, they've got the USI, they put their details in. But Oliver then can use this on the back end, and I'll show you later, to tick off the students and say, oh, okay, there's my list on Accelerate. Here's my list on Canvas. Yes, all of them have done it. And we can just very quickly go, yep, they're all there, fill down, they're all ticked, and move on. Okay, so that's how that that one works. So some of these pages are just literally a cross check if you want to use that way. The LLN robot, so this will take the students to a test. And it's only a 15-minute test, and it gives us an overview on whether the students have got numeracy, literacy, and where their language skills are at. So we can work towards those. And it might give us a red flag to say, you know, this student scored really low in literacy. Maybe we need to get some learning support sorted. So it's great to get that information at the start of the year. So that's what that there's for. Students don't actually submit anything. They're just completing that work. All right. So we're using this as a cross check. So the teacher gets a login to go and see their results. And you could use that as a tick box and say, hey, Jay, you didn't, you know, as a student, Jay's a student, I saw you didn't get to do that. Can you do it for me for homework or something? Okay, there's the work placement information. So what courses have work placement? There's a list there. I'll just skip through some of this, but there's the different school work placement providers, and there's the steps for the students to sign up. And again, this is just a tick box that the teacher could log into their school industry and then tick the students off, and I'll show you how that works. And go to work placement modules. So obviously all students need to do a training program before they go out on workplace placement to make sure they're safe and so on. So if you have a look, for this one, we are actually going to get them to submit their certificates in a moment. So the first thing that you guys are going to submit is your USI, and the second thing you're going to submit is your work placement modules. So you go to admin task 5. So you can just click through the way I have, and then you just need to go up to here, click start assignment, upload file. And you can see it says add another file because the work placement modules, they have 2 or 3 certificates that they need to submit. And then you would choose the file, upload it, and hit submit. So, and then that will go into a submission part that the teacher can access. The student can resubmit and so on. All right, so that's how the
sorry. What are we submitting there? What
just a random screenshot. You can take anything.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even mind if it's a Word document that you've been doing, whatever. It really doesn't matter. I just want you to interact with it, I guess. All right, so that's the second thing. So you're going to submit 2 things in a moment, but I'll just take you quickly through the rest of the. That's just telling me because I was about to submit and I hadn't submitted yet. This is our all my own work modules. So if you want to have that hosted here, that information, it is a vet requirement. You can get students to submit their go to work placement modules. But if the students have done it elsewhere and you know from a learning perspective that the students have done it through, and you speak to your learning coordinator, you can tick them off without having them submit. Okay, so it's just there as an option for you on this one. But yeah, we just want to make sure the students have, and as a vet teacher, you need to make sure that they've done that part of it. Okay. The next one is a student declaration. This is a quiz. So it's telling me to resume the quiz because I've already opened it. But you guys will have start quiz, and it's just a declaration for the students to acknowledge that they've done what they need to do. So I understand the qualification I'm in. They have to tick yes. Have you created your USI? If they're having problems, excuse me, the teacher will get that information to say they're having problems. Have I added it to Accelerate? Yes. Have I completed my LLN? So they just go through and declare a few things. And we also want to make sure that they know that they're doing a work placement. They know what competency-based assessment means. They have their assessment plans attached, all that stuff. So they go through and then they submit that quiz. And that will complete the administration unit that the students work through in their first week, or if it takes a little bit longer, it takes a little bit longer, but that we're estimating that will take approximately 1 week. And I'll just jump out of that. And that's how the student view actually works. So is there any questions about anything that I've just run through there? No? What I'll get you to do now is I will stay on here, and Jay, and so you've got support there if you need it. If you're having any problems, just come and see us. But if you want to I'll just show you how again to get to that first module. So we click on the first page, go to modules. The first one you're going to do is create, and it's good. We've labeled things. So if you have a look in the next course, we've tried to chapterize things a bit. So if you were with your class and you got up to 1.2 in one lesson, the next week you can say to them, okay, guys, now we're up to 2.0. Okay, so you can always refer back to the list, and we've tried to make it so everything's numbered. So for you guys, you can open that one if you like, and then to get to the next page, you just hit next, so that you can go through it that way as well, but or you can just skip directly to that that specific module that you need. So I'll get you now, guys, just to go and submit a USI is the first thing, and the second thing is to do the go to work placement modules. Just upload a random screenshot or a document, whatever you feels necessary. And if you have any problems, just let us know. From a teacher's perspective, just while you're working, so I'm getting email notifications at the moment to say that Rosalinda's submitted. So yeah, so you can specify the notifications that you want to receive, but at the moment I've got notifications on for the course. So sometimes you can, do that so that you can know how the students are going through their work and you get those email notifications, or you can turn them off as well. But as a teacher, that's what I'm getting at the moment, so I can monitor how you guys are working through the course.
Oh, okay then. Mick, are the notifications already turned on, or is there a spot in settings that we can go and turn them on?
They're already turned on by default, and you turn them off as required. So you will find that you possibly will want to turn them off, or certain elements of them, and get a daily review or something like that. But yeah, so they are default to be turned on.
Awesome. And is that just in settings if we want to go and change those, or?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll show you in the modules section. There is in this course, I've actually put some stuff in there. So down the bottom, there's the Canvas training, navigating your way around Canvas. So in this training course, there is that. And one of them is your profile and settings. And so that has the notification section in there. So to walk you through how to turn them off and turn them on, and how to make it personal for you guys, how you want to run your courses.
Great, thanks for that.
No problem. Good question. All right.
You can also globally adjust your settings. So where you see your little account icon, so you can see Michael's beautiful face up there on the top left-hand corner. If you click on account, there'll be an option there that says notifications, and that's where you can go and turn them all on and off. And also when you're actually in any given course, you can actually turn announcements off and on within individual courses. So there might be a course you want to know a lot of notifications, there'll be other ones you're not really interested in at all. And don't forget, when you're actually in Canvas itself, you actually will actually see how many things are due to be marked and all those sorts of things anyway. So yeah, one thing worse than not enough communication sometimes is too much. So yeah, so feel free to adjust as you need.
Okay, thanks, David.
Yeah, and you will find that sometimes it feels like you're getting a notification a lot. So it is one of the things that you probably will find that you'll want to turn certain aspects of it off. The main ones that you want on, I find, is like student emails. You want a notification for that, but it will go straight into your email address as well. But you find that you sort of start working more in the Canvas environment the more you start teaching in it. So was there any questions, or did anyone have any problems with actually submitting anything like that? Any comments, any feedback even? No? Okay, so we'll move on and I'll show you how the teacher's perspective, oh, sorry, no, I won't. I will show you how the student works for the competency assessment. So it's more or less the same procedures and the same style of submissions. It's mainly that this is for a competency task. So I'm going to jump back into this modules section. And if you have a look on the next one, I've got an example module. So again, feel free to go through this. It was a module that was made for the IDT course for next year. And so it's a computer-based course, but it's mainly about WHS. So I use that module specifically because it's in most courses. And so when you get through here, you'll see that there's a bunch of learning activities. So every chapter starts with an overview. Again, this is editable by yourself. So there's a learning intention, success criteria, and this chapter we would say probably will take about 3 weeks for the students to get through. And just be aware that this is us making these judgments. It's vet leaders are learning, saying, oh, that's probably 3 weeks. If it's too early or not enough time, then that's something that you should let us know, and then we can update these documents for next semester or the next year that they're delivered, so that this is a building block for the start of something bigger. So and we want input into how these are created as well. So in the resources you'll get, there's a WHS overview. There's a PowerPoint that I've embedded there, which is around WHS. You can full screen that too, but or you can just hover over it. It talks about the laws, overview of the Act, and so on. Now, so that's sort of a page, and it's just a page within Canvas. It doesn't do anything else apart from deliver information. In the student view, I'm just going to jump out of this because it looks very different in the teacher view. I'm in the teacher view at the moment. The next page is a bunch of information. There's some YouTube videos embedded in there, so they'll play for the students. There's some resources for a website to click to go to Safe Work New South Wales, what a PCBU is, all of that information. And so the students can read through there. And then there's a quiz. Now, one of the things to be aware of in Canvas, when students are required to submit something or complete work, it's completed through a part of Canvas called a quiz. And one of the things we really want to get through to the students is that a quiz doesn't mean it's a test. A quiz is actually how Canvas manages submissions. So, and I guess it's a mindset, and we don't want the students to feel like they're doing a test every week or that they're doing it. The main thing is that the program that's used to actually operate this part of Canvas actually calls it quiz. So it will be called a quiz here. But as a teacher, you're doing some teaching, you're teaching your students, and then you're saying, okay, now I want you to go and answer some questions, or now I want you to go and create a resource, or I want you to do something, or maybe make a video of, you know, WHS requirements in a workplace, or I want you to do a risk assessment. So when students are submitting, most of the time they're going to submit in a quiz. They could also submit in assignment, which is what I'll show you in a bit later. So when the students hit take the quiz, it gives them the resource again. And this is learning content. This isn't competency assessment. So there's some questions there for the students to find the answers. And so they can tick, they can, all of these ones that are ticker boxes, they're all self-marking. So the students will get a mark, it'll mark it for them. And we can do that and hit submit quiz. Now, let's say that you go, look, that would kill my kids and they're not going to enjoy that at all. And I've got a really cool resource that I've got that I would rather them do. And that's great. Yeah, that's what we'd want you to do. You can unpublish that learning content, and then you can say, for mine, I'm going to actually do what I've always done. And I'm going to embed my Google Doc that the students can go to, and they can, when they click on that link, it'll take them to another resource and it will open up so that they can do that work. So if this resource that you've just seen is something you don't like, that's great. We're not expecting that you have to use it. We're expecting that you would find something appropriate to replace what's there. Does that make sense? Feel free to use the chat if you've got anything, or to let me know how I can address your questions. So there'll be a number of these, and at the end of each chapter, there's a quick reflection. The reflections we're expecting should take about 6 minutes to 10 minutes max for the kids to do. So these are at the end of each chapter. What's one thing I learned? What's a new skill I've learned? What's something I did really well? And what's something I can improve on? And they submit that. So that's another thing that the students do. It's sort of built in.
Sorry, to unpublish it, is that in the teacher's view?
Yes, I'll show you how to do that. Yeah. So in terms of the next chapter, you'll see that this one here actually has some competency-based assessment in it. So when we move through the course, there's another learning activity, risks and hazards. There's a quiz there if you want to use it. WHS audits and risk assessments. So this is a resource that shows the students how to rank their hazards, all those sorts of things that will prepare them for the competency task. Then there's the reflection. And now we're going to get them to do an actual competency task. So this won't be able to be edited by staff, teachers. And if there is an adjustment that you need to make for a specific student, so let's say you have a student who uses videos instead of written responses or something like that. If there's that sort of adjustment that needs to be made, then you just need to speak to your vet leader of learning and they'll make the adjustment for you. Okay, so adjustments are still a part of what we're doing. Canvas, we just need to make that part built into the Canvas course specific for that student. Okay, so the first one that they're going to do is a risk assessment. So there's a scenario there. There's a couple of WHS issues just to give you an overview of what the task is. And you've been asked as a junior in a workplace to go and do a risk assessment of the office. And this is the 3 issues that you've found when you've done the view. And so the student's going to submit a risk assessment on that. So there's one question in this quiz. And it says individually complete a risk assessment below. Use a template to complete this activity by downloading the template. So they click on that. When they click on it, it will make a copy for them. And this copy will reside in their Google Drive. Okay, that gives them their own copy. They can simply just work on that here, type into it, put their hazards in. It is their document, and if they say to you, sir, it didn't go anywhere, or miss, I can't find it, all you have to get them to do is search the file name, and if they're telling the truth, it will be in there. So that's the first part of it. Now the students complete it and then they download it, they go back, choose file, submit it. And so you'll be able to see as the students are working through that on that lesson, did they do it at that time? Now, I don't know if you had the same issue as me as a vet teacher, where you would tell the students to do that. And the only way for me to actually check when they were doing their competency task in a Google Doc, if they had done that task as I'd asked them to do it, would be to go in each of their Google Drives and say, oh, Steve, did you do it? Oh, no, you haven't done it yet, mate. Can you go back in and do it? This, when the kids submit it, you'll be able to go straight into a mark book and see if that student has actually submitted it. And you'll be able to see a list of, did the student do the the risk assessment when they were asked to? So it's got a huge bonus there. And when you're marking, you'll be able to say, oh, okay, well, there's all the risk assessments and then they're marked. You're not scrolling through a massive document trying to find the bits the student weren't competent in the first submission as well. All right. So I know there's a lot there. And as sorry, I should have probably mentioned at the start, everything I'm going through today, including the student perspective and the teacher's perspective, there are videos on it. So exactly what we've just done so far, there's a video on the submission of the USI, the submission of that's in this student one. So this video here walks everyone straight through that as well. Then if we go to the next video, that's the second part that I've just been through. So there's a video resource that walks you through this again. So if you need a refresher next year and you don't want to watch my whole Zoom again, you can just quickly skip to the bit you need. And then also there's the marking perspective, which is what I'm going to go through with you in a moment. So I don't think we need to resubmit anything for the competency task, but if you want to, you're welcome to. But is there any questions about how that competency assessment task part will work? Is there anything at all I can address with you guys?
You're gonna show how it's marked and those particular features that you're talking about, aren't you?
Yep. That's the next part of this. That's the next part of this course.
Oh, great segue, David. Fantastic.
Well, we are getting through it, which is good. So we've got about 20 minutes left. Now I'm going to show you guys the marking side of things. And this is probably where you'll see the real buy-in or the real benefit of using Canvas for delivery as a teacher. And some of the things that we're going to do, you aren't able to do at the moment. But what I will do is after this course, I will make you guys teachers so you can go back in and you can go and mark your own submissions and you can go and see and give yourself feedback if you like, and actually experience that part of the teacher. So what I'm going to go and show you guys now is that I'm going to leave my student view. And when you are teachers of the course, you will be able to go between teacher view and student view. But at the moment, you're in the course as students because I didn't want to overwhelm you guys when you joined the course and then say, oh my gosh, there's lots there. And as a student, you don't see this whole list. As a student, you only see the ones that don't have this icon next to them. So I'll just show you how that works. I'll just jump into student view, sorry. So if you look now, all of that, those settings and things have all been taken away. So it's a lot easier for a student view than it is for the teacher view. Not easier, but it's a little bit more confusing or overwhelming if you're not familiar with it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm in the teacher view and I'm going to go to modules and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you could mark your students off and have them, see their submissions and so on. So if I jump into this USI, so the first way I could get to this information is through going to the USI and clicking on it. And the way that we mark student submissions and so on is through a part of Canvas called SpeedGrader. And then we can view the submission or view the mark in the mark book, which we can access on the side here. So, and you can view the marks in SpeedGrader as well, but there's two different views and I'll show you both. So here we can see that Anne-Marie submitted this USI, but And we can see that down on the side, I can see a rubric, I can see a mark, whether she's complete, incomplete, or excused. I can view the rubric and say, oh, did she actually submit it all? There's no long description there because it's obviously quite a simple thing, but in the actual competency task, and I'll show you that later, that's where we would have our decision-making rules. So did the student have 3 hazards? Were the hazards ratings appropriate? And all of those will show up here. So what we can do then is I can say complete and well done, Anne-Marie, you've done great there. So I can type in here, well done.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent work, star of the class. Okay, so, and then Anne-Marie will have got an email notification if they're turned on to say that Mick has given some feedback on that. Now, when I have done that, I could go to the next student by simply clicking up here, and Deborah hasn't done it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put incomplete, and I'm going to say, can you please submit? Okay, and then I would hit that and she will get that notification. So I won't do that, but that's how we would do that. I'm just going to leave it as unmarked for the moment. Okay, Oliver, he's got his, but I've noticed that he's actually, it's too long. So he's added an extra J at the end he shouldn't have had. So what I could do here, put incomplete, and then I can just write Oliver, you know, I could write that. Or I could do a video if he's more of a visual learner. I can just put a media comment in. So I click this one and I can film myself and say, hey, Oliver, can you please, and send him a video. Or I could do speech to text and say, hi, Oliver, can you please resubmit? You have too many numbers in your USI. Oh, it's pretty close. So you can use that feature as well. All right, and so we can give feedback to our class that way and quickly go through and mark them off. So what I'm going to do now is another, oh, sorry, before I move on, is there any questions around this section of how we give feedback and so on to our class?
Just quickly, when you do send a comment or you mark it, do they get an email notification or they have to go into Canvas to see that?
No, they get an email notification,
Okay.
although they can as well
Turn it off.
adjust their settings.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah, that's how it sort of works. And when they go into their class, on their dashboard, I'll show you, there's a list of things that show them what's been happening. So it will tell them you've got an assignment due in 3 days. You've got this done. You've got to do that. With that, if you've given them an announcement on their dashboard, it will say, Mr. Kelly's left an assignment, left a comment for you. So that comes up. It comes up there regardless of their notifications. So
a couple of things just on there while you're there, Michael. So those 3 submission types in terms of what the teacher can provide feedback for, they're all types of submission types for the students as well. So if there's particular tasks, they can certainly take videos of themselves, voice record, put in text, put in attachments and all those sorts of things. So those tools just aren't reserved for you. It's also reserved for them in terms of their submissions and feedback. The other thing is that any of the feedback that you, your staff, your peers put in any of that feedback, that's automatically embedded within the entire mark book of the course. So if you and or your student was going back on any particular task, you will actually see the results, the feedback, the rubric, what you recorded, what they responded to, etc. You get the full picture all in one place. You don't have to duplicate that anywhere else, which is handy. Thanks, Mike.
no worries. Excellent. No, thanks for that, Dave. So what we can see here is this is the mark book view. So I may have jumped into this without showing you, but there's a couple of ways to get it. From SpeedGrader, you can get into it, or you can simply just go to the side here and click on marks, and this will give you the marks for the course. Okay, so at the moment, you can see CA1, and if you hover over it, that is create a USI. So you can see that Karen has submitted something, and this symbol here means that it's been submitted, but I haven't looked at it yet. This one here, I marked myself as not being, you know, of the right level to be able to be marked off. So I had too many numbers or whatever it was. So I've been marked as incorrect. And Anne-Marie was our star student who got it correct. So from here, I can simply click on the icon. This little door takes me to the submission. And I can say, I can click here and see it on SpeedGrader. And then I can mark that one and say complete and submit. And then that student will get that feedback again to say that they're done. So now that one's been marked. So that's how I can do that. Now, if you think about, think back to when we were doing the register on Accelerate. So as you can tell, what we would be expecting to see is that all this starts to fill up with ticks because students are working through it and that starts to get ticked off. Now, let's say that I've got my class and I've told them all, hey guys, by tomorrow, can you please have this all submitted, your USI submitted into your USI into Accelerate, sorry. And then I can very quickly go in and see, okay, there's my list, here's my class list, here's my Accelerate list. So I can compare it and I go, all right, yeah, I've got 20 students, they're all on there. So that's good. You don't have to go through and tick each one individually. You can actually say, set a default mark. And now I can just very quickly say complete. So now all of those students will be marked off as complete. The other thing that we remember, if we say that maybe you just check with the learning coordinator at your school for the All My Own Work module, which was the academic integrity. So for that one there, you check with your learning coordinator, hey, Sally, did everyone do the All My Own Work modules this year, or do I have any students, or any of these students need to be done? Then you can just very quickly say, oh, they've all done All My Own Work because someone else has checked it off. Set default mark, complete. Set default mark, you guys are all marked off for that. So you don't have to redo that if you've already done that. But if you haven't already done that and we're doing it at this time, that's where you would get them to submit it. So another really cool thing that we can do is message students who. So if we think back to our USI, we had our lesson, someone was away and they still haven't done their USI. So on these three dots here, we can click to say, let's message students who. And we might want to message all the students who haven't submitted yet and say, please submit ASAP. Or please submit this task will be nice. Please submit this task. And that way they're going to get an email and a notification on their dashboard to say that they need to redo that. So I won't send that because they're people who haven't done the course yet are going to get that message. But that's how that section of the Markbook works. So what you'll start to see, at the moment we're looking, I'll just go to the view section. So at the moment we're in view and I've filtered it to assignment groups. Now I'm not trying to confuse you, so I hope this doesn't confuse you, but, and then I've chosen the assignment group up here, course administration activities. So that's where students have submitted, you guys have submitted your course administration activities. But this one, if I go and have a look at competency task 1, these are all the elements of that competency task. And obviously nothing's been submitted. I did a fake student submission here. So, but it's the same process. So I can click in there. Whenever you see that icon, that means that there's something for you to mark. So you can click on it, go to SpeedGrader, and I can mark that student submission. Okay, so over here, you'll see that there's the decision-making rules. So this is that same example that we used before with the risk assessment. So this is where the students are submitting their risk assessment. So over here, you can see there are decision-making rules. And the first one is outline 3 potential hazards from your setup and identify the level of risk for each hazard. So, yep, the student did that satisfactory. Then the next one, then the next one, and then this one I said was not satisfactory. So that's how, and we can move through that and mark it really quickly with the actual student example of the submission here. And then we just simply give them a feedback to say, yeah, that's great. Or if you are actually missing one of the sections, or your ranking for your hazards is incorrect, or there's all of that sort of stuff that we can go through as well with that submission.
10 minutes.
All right.
Paul.
Cool. Yeah, we're pretty close to time, which I have to say I didn't know how we would go, but yeah. So on that, is there any questions around the mark book or how the marking guide or anything of that aspect actually works and functions? Obviously, you guys, I knew we probably wouldn't have time to go through and mark it in this section, but I think you've probably taken a lot in, especially for those people who are new to Canvas, and I didn't want to overwhelm you either. So, but at this stage, is there any questions or anything you'd like me to go back, or anything at all I can address with you for that section? No? That's good.
So just while people are just pondering there for a sec, I've posted an announcement in this course, and Michael can show you where that is. So if you just go back to your homepage.
Oh, whoops, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, you're right. So we've got a couple of, because if you're a little bit like me, you've probably got week 11itis and trying to wind down and say, okay, how much do I need to know? Okay, I need to know enough. But what if I want to know more? So on the 25th, we've actually got a whole day training for those people who are new to Canvas right across the diocese. And additionally, we've got vet specific hour opportunity. So from week 2 to week 5 on Wednesday afternoons from 3:15 to 4 o'clock, you can jump in and just ad hoc questions, throw things our way, etc., and we'll be there to assist. Obviously, you've still got your LOL vets, you've still got ESD, etc., to provide you with the support that you need. But if you walk away this afternoon going, yep, I know enough and I can come back in January, there's certainly enough support for you when you do return.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and while we're there, so announcements just works exactly the same as a Google Classroom stream. So if you just like to put instructions and just put notifications out to your students and advise them what needs to be done or whatever, announcements just works exactly the same, and you can post those to your heart's content.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Dave. And the other thing is, I will show you, it may have gone off my announcements here, but in this to-do list here, that's where the students will see those announcements as they've made. So when students make a submission, the teachers will get a notification there as well. And when students have an announcement or have an assignment due, it all shows up here as well. And so there is other training support materials here for you if you do want them. So I know I touched on it before, but there's a list. I've tried to keep it. So this is an example module. Feel free to go through it, have a look. As I said, you can unpublish things you don't like, and we really need people who are passionate and good with their subject matter. Like if you've been teaching for a few years and you've got a wealth of resources, we'd love to have those resources built in for the whole delivery of the whole diocese. So obviously there's a lot of power there for us to be able to fine tune our resources, and even maybe one day have some different possibilities for students and teachers to be able to turn things off and on. So I'll just show you that really quickly. But if we've got things over here, we can see that they're all green ticks, and that means that they've all been published so that everyone can see them. Whereas let's say that I didn't want to use this WHS law PowerPoint, it's a bit boring, whatever. You don't think it's a good resource for the students for some idea for their learning. You can simply unpublish that, and you could create another page and put your own resources in there. Now, I'm not going to go through that because that's another we'll leave that for another time. But if you are already building things, or you've got a course that you've already built things in Canvas for, you can very easily copy that stuff in, and there are videos on how to do that in here. So there is a creating content in Canvas. This is more or less just a quick overview on how you can do that. Okay, so there's all of the instructions there, but as I said, it's not anticipated that you have to do any of this at this stage. You're welcome to start with the things that you already know, and then build from there. So we don't want you overwhelmed with what you have to be doing at this stage, but feel free to, if you've got a great resource, and I'm looking after entertainment, for example, and you've got a great thing that you're doing with your class, it works really well, share those resources with your vet leader of learning and say, hey, can you give this to the person who's looking after the entertainment course? And that person will be, you know, the vet leader of learning who's looking after that subject area will be very, very grateful. So there has been some correspondence, but yeah, if you've missed that and you've got stuff, we'd love to have it. And there are writing days as well for creating these. And the more people we can have on board for those days, the better. Okay. So, and obviously the payoff for everyone is that we've got a real wealth and a real well organized structure for delivery and marking and feedback. It's all very well packaged for everyone, really, because you know, it's going to make students really have a clear vision of what they've done and what they need to do to get their qualifications that they're enrolled in. So, and that's the plan. That takes us almost to time, but I'll just leave it to you guys now for the last 5 minutes or so to excuse me, feel free to ask any questions or anything like that. And I really do want to say that I really appreciate you guys all being here. I know week 11 is a tough one to be doing this sort of thing. And I appreciate that. And thanks to Dave, Jay, and Irene. So Irene's the head of vet, he's here at the moment as well. So thank you for you guys for all the support with this project as well. It's been a great thing. So if there's anything you can need help with, just feel free to reach out, turn your chats off, and have let us know your questions if you have any.
I'd probably remiss of me to introduce Jay. Jay's the new our newest member to our Canvas Lex team. So we're based at AKC out of Mount Druitt. So feel free to, when we return back to the office, stick your head in and say hi. Jay and I provide in-school training, remote training, course building. So if you've got any cool ideas, etc., that you'll probably find its way to Jay, and he works his magic and puts things together. So if you've got great ideas, as Michael said, just keep filtering it our way, and we'll help you make it as good as possible. But yeah, the RTO team have done a fantastic job in putting together the resources that are concise and simple for novices, but also giving you the ability to lead it if you're a little bit more skilled in that area.
Cool. All right, so if there's any questions, and or if you want to stay on afterwards, I've got time now. If you were too shy to talk in the actual presentation, you'd like just to have a chat with just any one of us, feel free to stay on. Otherwise, have a great afternoon. As I said, there'll be, and thanks Dave, Jay, Irene, for all the everything. And yeah, if not, have a great day, and we'll be in touch next year, and keep an eye out for those further training sessions that are available to staff to help with this project rollout and so on.
Thank you. Thanks.
No problem. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thanks.